Rob, so if this is a quota issue, just explain we were talking off air earlier, how it's a sort of unwritten rule on the national side, but we know at franchise level there certainly are mandates, and I mean going into 2016, I believe 6 players need to be non-white.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's also just come out in the last couple of days, which the people who are sort of anti the sort of quota system, if you like, have really been doubly up in arms, because first there was the Vernon Philander issue, and then almost simultaneously came the news that domestically the tally of black players in a franchise starting lineup has to move to 6 from next season. So that was always going to ruffle a few feathers.
Why doesn't that figure transfer to the national level?
Well, at national level, they've always said that because the national team is sort of the showcase for the country, and that is realised by Cricket South Africa. But it's also no secret that there is in a sense a quota there, because it's not. They won't actually sort of make it cast in stone. But we all know that ideally there need to be 4 players of colour in the national side. And for several games at this World Cup, there were only 3. When Vernon took his various different sort of leaves of the team because of his constant sort of hamstring issues, it meant that Kyle Abbott sort of tended to get more games. And that was always going to be an uncomfortable issue, because generally speaking, 9 times out of 10 in the last 2 or 3 years, the national team has always had 4 players of colour in that 11. So this kind of disturbed the equilibrium. There would have been some pressure from the Cricket South Africa board. That's come out in reports subsequently. There's also been suggestions of political interference from government, from the Ministry of Sport, and I think they probably all hold
true.
This
is what CSA have denied.
Yes, they have. But the one thing about sort of the issue of political interference, you always know that when that issue comes up, there will always be denial, because with the national team, they talk of it as a guideline rather than a sort of a cast in stone stipulation. So there's always a way of sort of managing to wangle your way off the hook if you want to sort of absolve yourself of any responsibility for the final decision. I think the public would just love to know who made the final decision. They'd also love to know, were there political ructions in the dressing room ahead of the match? It wouldn't be the first time it's ever happened to a South African sports team, and to have caused a level of sort of disruption, disgruntlement perhaps, in the team fabric, which is terribly damaging going into a major tournament.
Well, Rob, I mean, sorry to interrupt you there, but I mean, EWN reported allegations senior players were unhappy after the semi-final. I mean, do you know anything more about that? Which senior players might have been unhappy?
Yeah, look,
has it caused a sort of schism in the team?
Yeah, look, obviously from many thousands of miles away, it's difficult to know exactly what happened. I wasn't at the tournament. I've been watching it primarily on television. But if in fact AB de Villiers has been listed as one player, the captain, who apparently was understandably was sort of nose out of joint about sort of disruption, changes to the intended team sheet, whatever. And if the captain was disenchanted, then of course that affects the whole focus of the team, because the captain's the guy everybody rallies around. As I said, it wouldn't be the first time that we've had such ructions, and it's really unfortunate ahead of such a vital game, because at the end of the day, you just want your national team winning. And we lost by a whisker to New Zealand. And yes, I do think that maybe that whisker, might have we might have been the beneficiaries of that whisker had we not had such ructions ahead of the game. So the consequences perhaps were pretty unfortunate.
Well, that was going to be my next question, Garen. I mean, would a selection like that, would Kyle Abbott have made all the difference in your opinion? Do you think we would have gotten over the line with a fitter bowler? If it wasn't political interference, what was the motive behind Vernon Philander's selection? Is it just because he adds that batting option?
Yeah, look, I mean, that's again, it's difficult to say what would have happened. It's that
because we know he's a class player, especially.
No, sure, and he'd been bowling incredibly well, and certainly bowling better than Philander had at this tournament. Philander for his side had experience on his side. I can just imagine those 6 days between the quarterfinal, having got the monkey off our back of chasing down a total, and then talking about the team selection into the semi-final. You had Philander, in a race against time to get fit himself. team selection would have been thinking, if he is fit, are we going to start him? Are we going to make a change to the team? AB de Villiers, perhaps as he's been mentioned, might have been saying, even if he is fit, I don't want to tamper with this team. I've got, we've been through this quarterfinal victory now. Want to build on that. Abbott's my man, and he might have been pushing for Abbott to start. Whereas selectors might have been going, we've got 3 players of colour, we need a 4th. So if they're both fit, we're going to go for Philander. It's difficult to say. Obviously, there isn't only one selector. There's a panel of selectors. They all get to make the decision. Majority might well rule. That might be how they work. They might have gone, if Philander, if he passes the test on the morning, he will start. If he doesn't, then Abbott will start. There was no sort of third option. It was really that player of colour or that player of no colour. So, that's how it looks like it panned out. Again, we were all pretty surprised there was a change to the team. We weren't too sure how Philander's fitness was holding up. As it turns out, he was on and off the field, so it looked like it sort of backfired a little bit. He obviously was carrying that hamstring, even though, they scored 299, quarter 343 overs, going at over 6 and over. None of the bowling figures looked that good. Even Steyn went for 70 odd in his 9 overs. So he's a far superior bowler than both Abbott and Philander. So if he was going to be carted around, there's nothing to say that Abbott wouldn't have gone for as many runs. Had he played, there would have been calls like, why Philander with experience, why didn't he play? So it's a no-win situation really to debate this. I think so long after the fact. The fact is we did lose. The rain didn't do us any favours. Had the rain not come, this again might have been a moot point, and Philander might have got away with his bowling figures, and we might well have been into the final. So difficult to speculate now. I don't really know what the answer is. All I know is we're out of the tournament. We didn't win. Australia have a 5th victory. We're still waiting to reach our first final. And there now might be discussions back home. But we're not playing another ODI series for quite a while now, a good couple of months. So we'll see what the team selection is for that squad when that's announced.